One of the many things that the Sonic franchise is known for is having different gameplay styles in their games that don't just include the typical speed stages of Sonic. But the two I've seen talked about the most are Classic Sonic and Generations, and the Werehog from Sonic Unleashed, especially with the incredible Sonic Unleashed Recompiled project done by Scythe and the Hedge Dev team that's given us the whole game on PC and kind of given the game a whole new breath of life. These two are being talked about a lot recently and being discussed for many reasons, but today I want to talk about which one is the better style, the more traditional classic Sonic of Generations or the radically different Werehog of Sonic Unleashed. This is gonna be a fun one, so without further ado, let's start off talking about the basics of both of these games, and then we're gonna look at the pros and cons of each. Classic Sonic and Generations is, it's in the name, it's Sonic, the classic. It's the 2D side-scrolling high-speed platforming that the series started off with. Just like modern Sonic, Classic Sonic gets 9 main levels to play, with many shorter missions for him to be playable as well. Classic Sonic here is way more familiar to Sonic fans, because it's nothing new because this is how the series started. The Werehog, though, is a whole other story. Instead of being the traditional fast-paced gameplay that we're used to, this style sees Sonic take the form of a beat-em-up action game with platforming elements in a similar vein to God of War, specifically God of War 2. And before I get in the comments, it's actually not just God of War, but it's a lot like DMC, Prince of Persia. No, you're wrong. It's primarily God of War, down to the movement, the platforming, the combos, the puzzles, and if you want me to do it, I'll do a separate video on it, but I need you to understand when I'm comparing the Werehog in this video, I'm comparing it to God of War 2. So there, deal with it. Now, with that out of the way, what the Werehog focuses on the most is, again, that God of War style of gameplay where the combat and puzzle solving is a big part, but since it's a Sonic game, platforming plays a major role in this game as well. So while you'll be doing your fair share of combat and puzzles, platforming is still a key focus here. In Unleashed, you have 7 main night stages with 7.5 if you count Eggman Land, and a bunch of side acts like DLC levels to play through as well. Now that we got the basics out of the way, we will go through both playstyles to see the pros and the cons of each game, starting with Classic Sonic for Gens. And I think going into this one, it's going to be naturally more favored because, like I said before, it's not that big of a departure like the Werehog is. It's traditional Sonic gameplay, but it's not traditional classic Sonic gameplay. The physics aren't one-to-one with the classic games, and that's not a bad thing. I don't think the goal of the game was to try to do that, but try to make something new instead. And I think that they did a pretty good job at that. One of the biggest changes that the classic Sonic game does in this version is that the spin dash is way more overpowered and it works differently. Instead of pressing down and then spamming the charge button, you simply hold it down, and depending on how long you hold it for is how fast you'll go. And something that you'll notice here, it's pretty fucking OP. So you can just go flying in some parts, but again, that's not a negative because the level design is built around the spin dash and how OP it is. And there aren't really many parts where you're just flying across the level. Speaking of, the level design is really good in this game, and since we're working with a new type of classic Sonic, we get to see a bit different type of level design philosophy. The levels feel a bit wider to accommodate for Sonic's faster speed, and I think that also opens up some new ways to play the levels. And because this is not a traditional classic game, we're able to do things that we're just not able to do, like getting a skateboarding power-up or rail grinding in some areas, or one of my personal favorites, Crisis City, where the goalpost literally moves away from you in a tornado, so you have to jump over these platforms to get to the other side. But if you're skilled enough, you can do some spin dash jumps across these gaps and make it to the end. But you have to be skilled because you will be punished if you just spam dash, because you'll just fall off into nothingness. Or Rooftop Run, where you have to climb your way into the middle of a clock tower to stop an egg float to get on top of the egg float. Or City Escape, where you have to escape the truck. Instead of just running away from it this time, now it's interacting with the level. You now have to escape before it destroys the environment around you before you end up getting killed. The way the levels implement gameplay with spectacle in these levels is something really cool. Okay, we talked about the positives, now for some negatives. Planet Wisp. I'm joking. Classic Planet Wisp isn't that bad actually, but the spike is a bit finicky at times, so it's probably the worst one of the games still. But something that is a actual con is that all of the levels are 2D. Now, that wouldn't be an issue if modern Sonic levels were all 3D like Shadow Gens, or at least majority 3D like Unleashed. But unfortunately, there is a good amount of 2D in a lot of modern Sonic levels, especially modern Planet Wisp. So to get a playstyle that is all 2D when there's already 2D in the 3D style is kind of annoying. Another thing is that when it comes to precise platforming, Classic Sonic can feel a bit stiff in the air to control at times, and it's not as precise as I would want him to be, leading to some missing jumps. Now, it isn't that big of a deal, but it happens enough where it gets annoying. But overall, I don't have that many cons when it comes to Classic Sonic. While it has its fair share of issues, I think it's a really fun adaptation of Classic Sonic's formula, and honestly, I would love to see them tackle it again if given the chance. And people saying that it's like Sonic 4 or worse clearly have never played either of these games, because like, are you fucking kidding me? Fucking what? Now, let's get into the controversial one, the Werehog. Now, this gameplay style has two things going against it off the rip. One, it's such a departure from Sonic's traditional gameplay that most people will likely just write it off. And secondly, since it takes heavy inspiration from God of War, it will be constantly compared to in terms of quality. So with that out of the way, let's begin. Starting off with the pros. And I have to say, when the game is good, it's good. I think the Werehog is at its best when it sticks to its roots as a platformer. The platforming in the Werehog is really fun and engaging in a lot of these levels. Some standouts to me are the Clack Tower and Spagonia Night, Adabat Night as a level, Missouri Night, and Chunan Night. Those are some of the best Werehog levels in the game, are actually pretty fun. Jungle Joyride Night in particular is my favorite nighttime level in the whole game because it's well paced, along with the combat, and that platforming challenges are fun, and the final puzzle plays a lot to the game's strengths. And there's also an addition to that with the movement tech with the game. You have so much air movement with like the Sonic spinning move, or like the twin needle technique that these motherfucking speedrunners love to quote so much. And I think having these moves in the arsenal just makes moving as the Werehog more fun and allows for some really fun speedrunning. And when you have a good level with these movement techs, it makes that level just way more fun. Now, unfortunately, that's where my positives end for the gameplay, because once you leave the platforming side, shit just goes downhill. Because combat and puzzles also take a big part of this game. And no, saying you can skip it is not a defense, because the combat still sucks. So there's a lot of forced combat sections. But why does it suck, you may be asking?
I'll write you up a list.
Starting with the enemy variety, which is probably my biggest issue. There are 25 or so enemies in the game, but they all do the same fucking thing. The most they will do to prevent you from attacking is blocking or causing a shockwave on the ground. And you know what that leads to? Boring and unengaging combat. When none of the enemies pose a real threat or force you to switch up your attacks, then it gets boring, and the game has 40 fucking combos, man! But the game doesn't give you a ton of them off rip. No, you have to unlock them through leveling up. Now, that wouldn't be a problem if the game actually accounted for that. The enemies in the beginning of the game are not as advanced, but if you would go up, the enemies would start to, you know, get smarter and make you use the skills that you learned. Not only testing your skills, but actually giving you an incentive to learn other moves. But nope, you can truthfully just learn two of the best moves in the game and then just not upgrade anything else. Just upgrade your strength and health and then kill them off with the finishing move. And you don't get punished in the rankings at all. It's actually the easiest way to get an S rank because it's all score based. So if they were actually to take from DMC, like so many people think this game does, you would get punished for spamming the same moves because you would get a lower score, and doing a variety of moves would get you a higher rank. But you can just get away with spamming the most effective combo and then doing a finisher because it doesn't punish you. And I know someone's gonna say, oh, it's your fault for not engaging with the game's combo. No, it fucking isn't. No, it's not, because the game, one, doesn't tell me how to do the input combos when I unlock it. I have to look through the menus for that. And then two, the game doesn't engage me to use the other combos. Even if they did what God of War 2 did and only allow mini bosses, to have the finishing moves and not every fucking little thing. That would already fix so much. But the biggest thing is the combo delay. This game has a delay in between when you can do your next combo, and while it's small, that second makes all the difference. When I played God of War, combo chaining was seamless, and using different combos was actually satisfying, because 1, the lag wasn't present, and 2, the enemies actually encouraged me to use other moves! And I don't want to hear about the shield thing, because 1, that's an exploit, that's not supposed to happen, and then you're just getting the delay anyways with the action of shielding. It's counterproductive. And that lack of polish is seen everywhere in the game, not just the combat. Look at the puzzles. In God of War, if you can move a block in that game, but in God of War, you can just kick it to where you want to go or just move it diagonally. The Werehog has you slowly push it where you need to go, and you can't move it diagonally. And the puzzles are a joke, man. The fun in the puzzles come in the platforming. The swinging that the Werehog takes from the blades of Athena feel way more unpolished and awkward. And when it comes to level design, the worst case has to be Shamar Knight. There is no platforming in that level whatsoever, so it's just a big ass combat room where you have to find the 4 magic kidney stones to open the door. And I've heard horror stories about the stairs, but it's pissy. He gives you like 3 Spartan rages, so it doesn't matter. And the platforming in Skyscraper Scamper sucks because half of the platforming isn't even that good. And a lot of design choices in that level just feel like they're there to artificially prolong the level, just to waste your time. It feels like filler the level. And no, learning to speedrun the level doesn't make the level any better. And I could already hear the comments saying, but speedrunning is part of Sonic. What's so different? The difference here is that the level is bad. Learning to speedrun the level doesn't make the level better, it just makes you better at learning to avoid the shit parts of the level. And I'm sorry, if a level only gets fun once you learn to skip half of it, I don't think it was a good level to begin with. With all of that said, I think I made my case clear. Now, unless you're not watching this video or skip to the end of this video just to see my answer, take a fucking guess. When it comes to how much fun you're gonna have consistently, replayability, and quality, classic Sonic clears it so fucking hard. And I think the main issue is that the Werehog is depth and technicality, but not in application, especially compared to God of War. If you're gonna rip something off, at least try to match its quality, but it barely does that. The enemies don't get any smarter. The combo delay destroys any semblance of seamless combo chaining. You have no incentive to get new combos, because just knowing the 2 best combos is enough to pass most stages with an S rank, and honestly, you have no reason to do it after that, because you'll get punished for wasting XP on new moves where it would be more beneficial to upgrade your strength, health, and your Spartan rage. Oh, I'm sorry, I mean Unleashed mode. That some people think it's Devil Trigger, which it's not. It's fucking not. All of the strengths in this game lie in the platforming. Wow, who could have seen that? The best part of the game is what this series is. What? Oh my god. And with that, that is my opinion on what is the better playstyle. I think Classic Sonic is there, no contest. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment down below how would you want me executed, because I know I just pissed off like a good portion of people with this video. I don't care. The Werehog sucks. I'm tired of pretending it's any good besides the platforming. That's why all the best levels are not combat focused, like Chunan Knight or Jungle Joyride, because they focus on platforming primarily. So yeah, and yeah, it is God of War. It's a God of War clone. Don't give me that fucking Prince of Persia, God Hand. Don't give me that Ninja Gaiden shit. God of War was popular when this game was coming out. It came out a year before, and they saw that, and that is what they took. Like, bro, it doesn't take that much intuition to understand. But I already pissed off enough people. Hope y'all enjoyed the video, and I see y'all in the next one. Bye. You don't get a high-pitched bye today.